This video will hopefully help you with the last name macro that you work on in Chapter 10. It begins on page 634. I've had many questions asked this week and in prior semesters, so I'm hoping that maybe this video will help clear up some problems. First of all, as you're looking at the sheet on the screen, the first name macro has already been run. You can see that the numbers have been developed in column C and D, and the last name and first name have been split out in column E and F. Most of my students do not have problems with the first macro, the first name macro, but many of us get stuck on the last name macro, including me again today. So let me walk you through it, and hopefully I can enlighten you and help you get your work finished. So to begin with, on step 1 on page 634, we are to select A1 to get started. All right, let's go ahead and do that. Oh, notice, I'm sorry, I did have already, I just wanted to mark the columns that, or the rows that we're looking at. So the last name macro is intended to break out the names that have last name comma first name and put them into the correct order. So the macro is different for these than it was for the first name macro. So just clicking on cell A1 to get started. All right, on to the Developer tab. The first thing that we want to check and make sure that we have selected is Use Relative References. So that will need to be green or colored out so that you know you've got that turned on. This is going to help that when you're recording, it will actually record the cell that you have moved to instead of just move over 3 cells, for example. So you want relative references turned on. Okay, next we're going to click the Record Macro button. Last name. A little L, you don't want to put a capital L in there because then you would have to shift to run this. Run this in this workbook. And off we go. All right, so now I need to move to cell C1 and type in the LEN A1 and then move to D1 and search for a space. So that's a quote, space, quote, comma, A1. And then in E, the left function, also on E1, after you get the left function typed in there, you also need to replace that formula with the actual text. So once you've written the formula in there, you see on your formula bar the results of your formula that you've written there, but we need to convert that to actual text. We do not want a formula to be there in the end. So with that cell selected, we copy, Control C, and then on the Home tab, paste drop down and go to paste value. Okay, now we're ready to move on to step 6 with the right function. Okay, and when we enter that one, again we need to copy and then we need to paste special so that we can paste the value there. Last, we escape to move the marquee off, return to A1, and stop our macro recorder. Okay, let's give it a whirl. So we're going to go to the next cell that has the name backwards like that, and we're going to hold Control and tap the letter L, and ta-da! So if you were struggling with this, like one of my students was with me, struggling as well, I just went back to review the first name macro, and I noticed that use relative references notation, and that is in fact what we were doing wrong. And it really made it worse because we switched from computer to computer, and that is not by default turned on, so it's something that you have to turn on. All right, I hope this helps you. As I just finished putting those in, the next thing you're going to do is delete some of the columns so that you're only showing the data that you want in the end. All right, good luck.